Hey guys, so the second part of the table where we created the upper indent and then the side and learned about bridging and the multi-cut tool. Okay, so we have our table here. If yours is not already in wireframe mode, go ahead and go up into shading in your viewport and do a wireframe. This way we can see where our indent is coming in, so we can make those cuts better. I am going to hover over the front viewport and hit spacebar so that I can more clearly see this side of the drawing. If you want to work on this side, that is fine as well, as we can see the indents. Okay, so what I'm going to do is going to hold the right click and go into edge mode if you are not already, and make sure that your symmetry is off. And I am going to hold down shift and right click, and instead of going into the insert edge loop tool, we're going to come up here to multi-cut. So your cursor becomes a little knife now. I am going to be clicking off in space and trying to line this up as best as I can. As you can see, without pressing anything, just clicking down, I can move this every which way. If we hold down shift, it's going to snap to angles so we can create that straight across line. So you can try and get perfect, or we can move them later. Drop that one there. And again, clicking up in space or on our image plane since we can't select it. Holding shift, I'm dragging it over. Okay. We're going to go make sure hitting spacebar to move between our viewports. Go make sure that it cut all the way through, and it did. And say you weren't happy, you did not get your lines perfectly on the drawing. Make sure you hit Q to quit, or go ahead and press your arrow. And we are going to surround select these edges, or we can go into vertice mode. There we go. So hold down your right click on top of your object and go into vertex. And we are going to click down off in space, and we can see that there's this dotted line that comes around. Just selecting the ones that we want to move. Because we are in this viewport, it's going to select all the ones behind it as well. So we have our other side selected without having symmetry on. And I am going to hit W to move those up. I'm going to go ahead over to the other side and do the same thing. Clicking off in space to surround select. And moving them to the drawing. Now you could have done this in edges, but this creates an extra problem because it's going to select all of these edges. So I'll show you how that works. It stops trying to select the image plane. Go into edge mode. So say I just want this edge and I go to do that surround select, it's selecting these edges as well. So I would go ahead and hit Control, and then you see that a little minus pops up near your cursor. And then I would surround select the ones that I do not want, and now I just have those edges that I want selected. My camera visible. And then move them up. Okay. It's doing that because this is in wireframe. Okay, so now with those, we need to bring in our faces. So I am going to right click on my object and go into face mode. And I'm going to surround select these, and you can do them all at the same time if you want. I'll go over it twice. So I'm going to surround select just the faces I want. Remember, if you accidentally selected ones you don't want, go ahead and hold Control to get the deselect. and surround select the ones that you do not need. Now I'm going to do a Control E to extrude. I'm going to hit R and hold down R and my left click, and I'm going to switch this into component. If yours is already in component, that is fine. Mine was an object, so I'm going to go ahead and switch this into component. That is holding down the gizmo function, so the R right now, and holding down your left click. Now from here, this jumped over. If yours was already in component, it still may be in the middle, and that's completely fine. Just make sure that we are looking in maybe the perspective viewport to see that it is doing what we need. I'm going to grab this middle one here and bring that in. Now if you are also a perfectionist, these lines went in straight. I'm going to grab the top one to move it up and just get it as close as I can. So again, we will click down and surround select those. And if you had selected more, you are holding Control, clicking down and surround selecting the ones that you do not need. Making sure that we have all the ones we need selected. Utilizing our rotate around with the Command or Alt key and your left click. And then we are Control E to extrude and R to scale in, and bringing this in using the middle guy, and then bringing that out to make that straight. Perfect. Okay, so next we need to add in these lower blocks, our bars that go straight across here. And we are going to again use the multi-cut tool. So go ahead and hold down your right click to bring yourself into edge mode. Holding down shift and there we go. Holding down shift and right click, I am going to go into multi-cut again. The reason why we're doing this is just so we can cut all four at once instead of having the symmetry on just one side and doing the edge loops. So I am going to click off into space and hold shift to get a straight line and draw across. Again, clicking down, holding shift, and draw across. I'm going to continue to do that for all the lines. Remember that we can move them, so I'm not worried about making them perfect or not. And now I'm going to move these to the upper and lower, hitting Q to equip my tool or going into the arrow mode. And then holding down our right click and going into vertex. I am now going to surround select, so I'm clicking down in space around my image plane that we cannot select, and just dragging this box to cover the vertices that I need. Remember, since we are in the front view or the side view, it is selecting all the ones behind it. Go ahead and click W to get into our move gizmo, and I am just moving those up or down. It is very important that you are in one of these view panels because these two boxes are going to meet together. So those would like to be the same size. Okay. So now what we need to do is to bring these edges in from the side, and we're going to do that with an extrude. So we're going to go ahead and hold down your right click over your object, preferably not on the wireframe, and go down into face mode. Now I am going to select all of these interfaces that are going to be pulled out this way, holding down Shift to add to our selection. Okay, and we have all of them selected. So now I am going to do a Control E to extrude, and then you can either hit R, or you can grab this little guy. So I'm going to go ahead and hit R to scale, and just bring those in. So as we can see, it brought all of these faces in to meet our square rectangle that's inside. I realized that I set these up wrong because my image plane is not selectable to be invisible, but that's okay. I'm going to move my table off. Do not move your table off. It is just so that you can see. Keep everything selected that you have. If you have already deselected them, go ahead and reselect, going into face mode, and just reselecting these new faces that we did. If yours are still selected, keep it that way. Go ahead and turn off your image plane. If you had set up your layers correctly, that would be the V. And we are going to bring these in. I'm doing a Control E to extrude. And then grabbing my arrow, not the scale tool, I am bringing these almost together. And then I am hitting delete. So if I watch these faces here, you can see that they're orange, and I'm going to hit delete or backspace. And now they are open. This is very important, as the bridge tool will not bring together ones that have faces. Okay, so holding down our right click, we are going to go into edge mode. And I'll do the same thing that I showed you guys in class. I'm going to hold down in space to surround select just the top one. We'll do the bottom ones a different way in next class. And I am going to hold down Control and deselect these sides that I don't need. Okay, so we have both of these selected, and if we come up to our Edit Mesh and Bridge, we notice that Maya is trying to guess that we want to bridge these two together instead of the ones that are right next to each other, which is not what we want. Thanks, Maya. So I'm going to Z back out of that. Don't want that. What I'm going to do is hold down Control again to get that deselect, and just deselect one of these sides, clicking off into space to get our surround select box. And now with just these forward ones selected, I'm going into Edit Mesh and Bridge. And now it has created this connection. So I'm going to do the same thing with the other side. I'm going to surround select these and then hit F to focus so I can be closer to where I am working. I'm going to hold down our Control again to deselect these edges that I do not want. And then I'm going to Edit Mesh and Bridge. So now we have those connected as well. If you're having a hard time with the surround select, you can go in and select all these edges, but as these are very close, it is time consuming. But whichever way you wish to work. Okay, so the other thing that I showed inside of class was how to bridge together other objects. So go up into your poly models, and let's go ahead and drop a cylinder this time. I am going to move this cylinder off to the side so that it is out of the way, because we are going to delete these later. Just maybe going to scale up this cylinder. We're going to create a bent pipe. So go ahead and do a Control D to duplicate, E to rotate, and then I am holding down J before I click on the rotate, and I am turning this. So it is perpendicular to our other object. After we have that done, holding down right click, making sure we are in object mode, I'm going to hit W and move this up and over as we're going to create this connection. Okay. Hold down right click and go into face mode. I'm selecting a face, and then to paint select, we're going to hold down tab, hold down our right click, not on the one that you just selected. As you can see, this brings up a minus and we can paint to deselect the ones that we have not selected, and go ahead and select all of those. And again, we are pressing delete because Maya needs two open faces to bridge them. Go ahead and do that with the other one. So click on it to select it, hold down our right click to go into face mode, holding tab to paint select, and then delete. And now, as we noticed in class, we have an issue because we cannot select both of these at the same time. So we need to combine them. So go ahead and click on one of your objects, hold down Shift and click down the other object, and we are going to mesh and combine. So now our objects are one, they will move as one. If I select off and then re-click on them, they will both light up. Okay, so now that we have these combined, we can select these edges that we need to bridge. So we're going to hold down right click to go into edge mode, and we're going to double click on this top edge, the open face. If the double click did not select all the way around, go ahead and click on one, hold down Shift and double click on the next one. Sometimes Maya needs to be reminded of which direction we are going in. So with those both selected, both of these open faces are selected, now we can do our edit mesh and bridge. So this comes down in a line that is not exactly what we want. We more want a bent pipe or a straw effect. So what we're going to do is we're going to come in and change this curved type to blend. And you can see as I hover over these, this double arrow pops up. I'm going to spacebar to get into this so we can see it better. I'm going to click down on the words when the double arrow pops up and move my mouse to the side. And we can see this switched to blend. So it's going to blend where this is and blend where this is. The reason why it's not bending is there's no divisions. So we need to add in some divisions. You can go ahead and manually enter in the number, but I'm going to again hover over this word till I see the double arrows, hold down my left click, and then move my mouse to the side, and we can see that this is blending in. If I kept this on linear and added in the divisions, it's going to stay at that same angle because it is finding the quickest point between the two edges in a line. So we want blend. You can add in as many divisions as you want. More divisions means more accuracy, but remember that if you are working in a game, that the more squares, the more polygons that you have, the more your game will be bogged down. And there we go. We have a bent pipe. This doesn't look smooth. We would go ahead and fix that, and we will learn about that later. Alright, so you've got to this point in your table. Go ahead and fix that. Your edges should be beveled. I had to recreate mine because I deleted will see you guys in next class. Thanks.